Hi, my name is Kate and I'm a fisheries biologist with Skeena Wild Conservation Trust. In this video, we're going to take a look at what we're expecting for salmon returns to the Skeena and Nass in 2025, as well as some of the environmental conditions both in freshwater and in the ocean leading up to this year and how they may be influencing this year's returns. And then we'll finish off with what we're expecting to see in terms of environmental conditions this year and how the season is shaping up so far. Most of the information in this video comes from the Department of Fisheries, Oceans and First Nations fisheries programs, in particular Nisga'a Fisheries, as well as Environment Canada, the Province of BC, and the National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration. So starting with the Skeena, the pre-season forecast for Skeena sockeye ranges from 1.3 to 5.8 million, with a point estimate of 2.7 million for this year, which is right around the long-term average and very similar to what we saw last year in 2024. With a return of 2.7 million, we can anticipate opportunities for FSC, commercial, and recreational fishing of sockeye. The forecast for Skeena Chinook remains poor, with a point estimate of around 26,600, which again is similar to what we saw last year, but well below the long-term average of around 100,000. For chum, we're expecting continued low returns. Generally, chum have been severely depressed in the Skeena for several decades. For coho, DFO is predicting a below or near average return due to the recent lower productivity, below average returns from 2019 to 2022, and uncertain marine conditions in 2023, which we'll dive into a bit later. In the Nass, the sockeye return is expected to be below average, between about 330,000 and 685,000, with a point estimate of 476,000. Concerns over weaker stocks and low overall abundance of Chinook in the Nass continue, with a predicted poor return similar to recent years. DFO is predicting a return of approximately 20,000 Nass Chinook, which is similar to last year. An above average return of Nass coho is expected this year, and pink salmon in both the Skeena and Nass are generally more abundant in odd years. Pink salmon runs are also generally more abundant in Southeast Alaska in odd years, so there's the potential for more catch of Skeena and Nass salmon and Steelhead in Southeast Alaska this year compared to last year. The Alaska Department of Fish and Game is projecting a catch of 29 million pink salmon and 15.5 million chum salmon in Southeast Alaska in 2025. There's no preseason forecast for Steelhead, but 2024 saw a good return of Skeena summer run Steelhead of around 35,000 after 5 years of very poor returns. And it's not uncommon for the years following a strong year to also remain somewhat strong, so that's what we're hoping to see this year. So let's get into some of the environmental conditions leading up to this year and how they may be impacting this year's return. So starting with the ocean. Ocean indicators suggest conditions affecting marine survival of salmon have been variable in recent years from 2022 to 2025. With a transition from La Nina, which generally means cooler conditions with more nutritious food for salmon, to El Nino, which is the opposite, so warmer conditions with less nutritious food for salmon in 2023, which lasted through the winter of 2023 into 2024 and then transitioned to La Nina again in 2024. Freshwater conditions between 2020 and 2023, which is when this year's returning salmon were eggs incubating or juveniles rearing and out-migrating, were similarly variable, with some milder years in the Skeena and then a challenging year in 2023 with low snowpack, record warm temperatures, and extreme drought throughout much of the year. And overall a trend towards increasing frequency of low stream flows and stream temperatures above 18 to 20 degrees Celsius, which can negatively influence survival. This all means that there's the most uncertainty associated with salmon that were rearing and out-migrating in 2023, which was a challenging year both in freshwater and in the ocean. So in particular, pinks, coho, and sockeye jacks that we might see this year. This brings us to now. And after just a few months of La Nina conditions over this winter, we're currently in an ENSO neutral period, which means sea surface temperatures are near average, and this is anticipated to remain throughout the summer and possibly into the fall. We experienced a low snowpack this winter, and snowmelt is trending earlier than normal, with the Skeena Nass area snowpack averaging 59% of its long-term average as of May 1st, which is similar to, just slightly less than last year at this time. In the Babine, rainfall events in mid-April and early May resulted in higher than expected inflows. This is good to see, as Babine sockeye experienced particularly challenging conditions in 2023 and 2024 with low flows. Overall, the low snowpack, early snowmelt, and warm seasonal weather forecasts are pointing towards elevated drought hazards for this upcoming season. And below normal, about 70 to 85% of seasonal runoff flows are forecasted for the Skeena and Bulkley rivers. So what does all this mean? Well, the trend towards less predictable and more challenging environmental conditions highlights the need for in-season adaptive management of all salmon and steelhead species, and to continue the transition towards selective fishing practices in which species of low abundance can be released without harm. And we're excited to see some of these fisheries in the Skeena this year, led by First Nations. Thank you so much for watching this video. We'll be sharing more updates as the salmon return this season. And if you have any questions or want to reach out to us, please get in touch. You can visit our website at www.skeenawild.org or send us an email at info@skeenawild.org.